Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Political Ray. It is a beautiful Friday morning. It is foggy again where I'm at. I like the fog. I think it's pretty. But anyway, we've got some stories going on that we're going to get into. But first, I just want to say happy Friday to everybody. Hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Um, I am live 7:30 Eastern every single morning, Monday through Friday. Check me out. If you're here, I appreciate it. Even after the show, check it out. I do appreciate the views, what have you. But I'm here every morning just before the lineup. You can follow me here on Rumble. You can also subscribe on YouTube if you want to. But Rumble's where it's at. Just come over to Rumble, download the app, follow me here. And then you can also follow me on X at The Political Ray. And we'll go ahead and just get into this. Now, we've got some stories. A troll at the beginning of the NFL draft last night that I did watch. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a big football fan. And I enjoy watching football, college, NFL, what have you. Huge Broncos fan. Everybody knows me that knows this, but we'll get into that. We got small business loans are booming under the Trump administration, and this is a good thing. It means the tariffs are working. People are bringing manufacturing jobs back to the United States. I talked a little bit about that yesterday. And we've got a story about the small business loans. Just they're taking off, and it's a good thing. We've also got the story about a judge who was housing a TDA gang member within his home. Him and his wife have been arrested for harboring an illegal alien who is a gang member, and rightfully so. It comes back to the accountability aspect that I truly believe in. And if there's no accountability, people will just keep doing this stuff because they know there's no consequences. But we've got that. I'm all for it. And we've got a Washington sheriff. This story is just wild. But we'll get into that as well as some news about Governor Pritzker. I don't know how to say his name. I don't really care, but we'll get into that too. Let's go ahead and we'll get into this. The first story that I'm going to get into is just because it's quick and funny. I enjoy it. I think it's funny. It's just a quick troll from Clay Matthews at the NFL draft. Now, the draft opened last night with Clay Matthews on a little troll on Chicago and its fans, and it's funny. I don't think it's a real letter from the president, but it's still funny. So, I mean, tell me what you think. I think it's hilarious, but take a look at the clip.
Real quick, Roger, but I just got off the phone with the president, Donald Trump. He asked me to pass a message along to all 32 NFL franchises. So let me tell you what it reads here, all right? It says, my fellow Americans, the Bears still suck! Let's go! Real quick.
Look, is it real? Probably not. I mean, it could be, but I don't think it is. But it's funny. I mean, I giggled when I was watching the opening of the draft last night. Honestly, I stopped watching it after the Broncos took the pick at number 20. But, I did watch it. I think I fell asleep once or twice during it, but I was able to wake up just in time to watch the Broncos have their selection. So that's what I wanted to see anyway. And anyway, like I said, we'll take a look at this. This is just like I said, I don't think it's real, but it's still funny. Here's a little note. Again, I don't think it's real. It could be, but it's funny. I think it's hilarious. But good job on you, Clay. I think it's hilarious. But anyway, we'll get to the serious stuff now. So this is from Entrepreneur. Small business loans apparently are booming under President Trump, and you can understand why. Because of the tariffs and everything else, he wants American manufacturing to come back to the United States. This is just another story putting out there. This is from Entrepreneur, and it just proves to everybody that the tariffs do work. I mean, there's not a giant leap between the loans under Biden during his first few months between Trump, but I mean, when you think about it, it's pretty significant in the fact that there's just more. So we'll take a look at this, and you let me know what you think, but I think this is a good thing. Now, applications are surging. Small Business Administration reports significant growth in loan approvals. Now, this could be just the approvals. I don't think so. I think it's just more people are applying, so there's actually more approvals happening. Small businesses are getting approved for manufacturing loans in greater numbers this year, according to data from the U.S. Small Business Administration. Its flagship program, the 7A Business Loan, offers entrepreneurs the opportunity to buy real estate, purchase machinery, and obtain furniture and supplies, and guarantees up to 85% of 7A loans of $150,000 or less, and up to 75% of loans above $150,000. Now, according to new data by the SBA, 74% more owners were approved for 7A manufacturing loans in the first 90 days of President Trump's administration than during the first 90 days of former President Joe Biden's administration in 21. That's pretty big number. From January 20 to April 17, the SBA has approved more than 1,120 7A manufacturing loans, totaling $677 million. During the same period in 21, the SBA approved fewer than 657 A loans, equivalent to $497 million in funds. Now, you can say that's not a very big difference as far as the numbers go, but I I beg to differ, just because of the fact that, look, these are more loans. This is more money that's coming into the United States. And what do you pay on loans? Interest. It's making banks more money. It's giving more people opportunities to start their own business. And the fact that Trump is putting tariffs on other countries for goods and services just gives people more of a guarantee that their business can thrive and succeed. That's my opinion. That's what I think. Loan applications and approvals for small manufacturers are surging, a clear sign that American manufacturing is roaring back, SBA Administrator Kelly Loeffler stated in a press release. The SBA launched its Made in America manufacturing incentive last month, which aims to cut $100 billion worth of regulations for new manufacturers and create a pipeline of skilled workers to take on manufacturing jobs. It's a good thing. I don't know if Trump had any part to play in that, the Made in America initiative. He probably did, but I think that they're just piggybacking off of President Trump and what he's doing with the tariffs and what have you. Just my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. Trump is promoting Made in America manufacturing through a combination of tax cuts, deregulation, and trade policies, including tariffs up to 145% on imports from China and a blanket tariff of 10% for other countries until July. As of Wednesday, however, Trump has indicated that he would consider lowering China tariffs. He has said that. China has been on the phone with President Trump. Don't let the mainstream media tell you otherwise. They are talking to China. There was I think it was Caroline Levitt. I think it was her. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was her that stated that they've got 18 other countries that are coming to the negotiation table over the tariffs. They're pretty close to making a deal with South Korea. I'm sure a lot of people have seen that as well. The tariffs are working. You can say what you want, hate the guy or like him. President Trump, in my opinion, knows what he's doing as far as business goes. The tariffs are working. This is just another prime example of how they're working. You've got small business loans going through the roof because people see the opportunity to open their own business with the tariffs and the trade policies that President Trump is putting into place. If they didn't, there wouldn't be a surge of small business loans. Anyway, let's see. Here we go. As part of our tax cuts, we want to cut taxes on domestic production and all manufacturing, Trump stated in remarks to Congress last month during his State of the Union, not State of the Union address. According to the SBA's Office of Advocacy, about 98% of American manufacturers are deemed small businesses and collectively employ 4.8 million U.S. workers. That's a big number of people. Bringing back American manufacturing means American jobs. Why? It's not hard to understand that. If the Democrats truly cared about their constituents and everything else, they would be on board with this. They would be all for it. But they're not. Now they were back in the late 90s, early 2000s. They were all on board with tariffs, especially on China. There was a clip that was wandering around the internet. It was trending on X, what have you, about Nancy Pelosi and her wanting to put massive tariffs onto China. But they changed their tune just because it's President Trump. That's the only reason. That's it. They can't give him a win. They just can't do it. Anyway, the SBA offers other small business loans besides the 7A, including 504 loans of up to 5.5 million and microloans of up to 50,000. Let's see. I think that's it. But yeah, I mean, there you go. Just another example of the tariffs doing what they're intended to do. I'm all for it. I'm glad that President Trump is standing his ground. I'm glad that he's not letting the left wing, narrative, Democrat policies, people in power. I'm glad he's not getting pushed around. I'm glad he's got there's some of his picks that I still don't agree with, but for the most part, I think he's got people in there that he can trust, and they're putting forth the policies and the job that he wants done. I'm all for it. Again, I think the tariffs are a good thing. You can argue against the fact, but I think they're good. They're bringing American manufacturing back. That story's, again, it's just another story proving the point. So we'll go ahead and move on to the judge in New Mexico, who was found to be harboring an illegal immigrant who is a member of the TDA gang. Why? This is an insane story. Not only is this person a dangerous criminal, who knows what this person has done up to this point? I don't know. Maybe it says in the article. I haven't fully read through all of this one, but maybe it says in there. We'll see. But why? Why would you even want this kind of person in your house? I don't understand it. Somebody can let me know what they think. I don't get it. Why would you want that? I don't. Anyway. It's wild. Anyway, Fox News. Ex-New Mexico judge and wife arrested for allegedly harboring illegal Tren de Aragua member. Why? Again, why would you put this type of person in your home? Hopefully they don't have kids living with them. It doesn't seem like they do. Former Dona Ana County Magistrate Judge Joel Cano and his wife, Nancy Cano, were taken into custody Thursday after federal agents raided their Las Cruces home. The two face charges of evidence tampering amid allegations they harbored I'm going to butcher his name too, Christian Ortega Lopez, an alleged illegal alien who was also believed to be a member of Venezuela's notorious TDA gang. Why would you want? Why? Again, I just asked the question. Why do you do this stuff? Why is the left so adamant about keeping violent gang members within our streets, within the country, what have you? I've a million times I've said it. I don't want these people in our communities where my kids are playing, walking down the streets, what have you. I don't want them here. Send them back to where they came from. Put them in prison where they belong. The two face charges of evidence tampering amid allegations they harbored this person. Under President Trump, we have arrested over 150,000 aliens, including more than 600 members of the vicious TDA gang, said Department of Homeland Security Kristi Noem. If you are here illegally and break the law, we will hunt you down, arrest you, and lock you up. That's a promise. Good. I'm here for it. Promises made, promises kept. That's Trump's agenda. He wants to make America safe. He wants to make it okay for our kids to walk down the street without having to worry about a gang member kidnapping, killing, what have you, heinous crimes. I don't want them here either. Anyway, the arrest follows a February incident where Lopez was apprehended at the Cano residence. Court documents reveal that he was initially hired by Nancy Cano for home repairs and later offered accommodation in the couple's guest house. Why? Anyway, maybe those are the kids, maybe that's other people that they employed, I don't know. Investigators uncovered evidence linking Lopez to the TDA gang, including a gang-related clothing, tattoos, voicemails, and text messages. Seems like valid evidence. According to the court documents, he unlawfully entered the U.S. on December 15th of 23 by crossing the border near Eagle Pass, Texas, without inspection or authorization. Obvious. I mean, how many millions of illegals got flooded into this country during the Biden administration? The low end's like 10 million, and these are just the numbers that we know about. Who knows how many came in that we didn't even know about? It was like anywhere between 10 and 20 million would be a pretty good guess. I know President Trump always says 20 million plus people. I think it's probably between that, just because of the ones that we don't even know about. It's between 10 and 20 million people that came into this country illegally without vetting, without backgrounds. How many of these people are gang members, human traffickers, drug smugglers, part of, the Mexico cartel gangs? We don't know. That's the whole point of getting these people out of our country. He was released on December 18th of 23. Why? Why was he even released? I think it's a valid question. He was released on December 18th, 23, pending removal proceedings due to overcrowding at the Border Patrol facility. He was issued a notice to appear, initiating formal removal proceedings under the Immigration and Nationality Act. He should have just got deported. But under the Biden administration, it's understandable why he didn't. Because they didn't want them to leave. Why? Because they want violent criminals, gang members, walking amongst you and your children. They don't care about you. They don't care about the country. They just worry about their own self-interest. That's all that's all they care about. Further investigation led to the seizure of 4 firearms from the residence of April Cano. The couple's daughter, Lopez, was found on social media posts posing with weapons, some of which he claimed were owned by April. He is currently facing federal charges for being an illegal alien in possession of a firearm, a violation of 18 U.S.C. If convicted, he faces up to 15 years in prison. Just send him to El Salvador. It's as simple as that. I think there should be he'll get his due process, and there should be significant amount of evidence linking him to the TDA. It sounds like there is. Just send him on. Anyway, let's see. Dona Ana County has been a hotbed of illegal immigration and drug trafficking, human smuggling for many, many years. Former ICE Field Office Director John, I'm going to butcher your name too, Fabricator, said to WPMI, to see that a judge would allow this to happen is very concerning. Yes, it is. It's what else has the judge been doing? That's a valid question too. What else has this guy been doing? If he's harboring an illegal alien, a TDA gang member, what else is he doing? It begs the question. I think so. Valid question. Judge Cano resigned from his judicial position in March. On Tuesday, the New Mexico Supreme Court issued a ruling permanently barring him from holding any judicial office in the state. The people of New Mexico are tired of a system where the powerful don't play by their own rules. Amy Barella, chairwoman of the Republican Party of New Mexico, said to the Las Cruces Sun News, "We demand real accountability for Judge Cano's connection to gang-affiliated criminal and a full transparency on how our judicial system, judiciary, is being held to the same laws as the rest of us. Enough is enough." I agree. Again, comes back to my whole thing about accountability. In this particular case, at least the cuffs came out and this person has been arrested, and hopefully they are held accountable for their actions. Do I think that they will be? Probably not. I think that he'll get some left-wing pundits and some left-wing people in power, and they'll come down and they'll help this guy. Unfortunately, I tend to think, just based off of past incidents, what have you, I think the guy's probably going to walk. It sucks. I hope I'm wrong. But just based off of the past and what Democrats do and get away with, I tend to believe that this guy's not going to actually face any kind of consequence. I'm glad the cuffs came out. I'm glad he got arrested. At least he's got an arrest record. But I think he walks. I hope I'm wrong. You know, that it sucks that these people can do whatever they want and just they think they can get away with it because in most cases they do. And it sucks. Accountability. Again, I say it. Left, right, center, what have you, whatever you line up as. Accountability. Your actions have consequences. Except unless you're in position of power and you're on the left. In most cases. The right too. Again, I'll say it. Left, right, center, what have you. Consequences for your actions. Should be a thing. It's not, though, in most cases. All right, but we'll move on to the Washington sheriff in Washington state. Now, he has been helping the Trump administration with deportations, catching illegal immigrants, what have you. His own state, Washington state, as far as I understand it, is suing this person for helping the Trump administration, ICE agents, Homeland Security, what have you. They're going after this guy, bringing criminal charges against him for doing his job. Make it make sense. This story is infuriating. Why anybody would side with the left on this particular issue it's just beyond me. Somebody can explain it to me. Let me know, because I don't get it. Why you side with criminals, gang members who do horrific crimes. Let me know. Anyway, so from the Post Millennial, we got this story. DOJ joins lawsuit to defend Washington sheriff against the state for assisting ICE apprehending illegal immigrants. The state is actively going after this guy for doing his job. If you're a police officer, a sheriff, city cop, what have you, you better not help with federal law enforcement in removing people because the left-wing pundits, they'll come after you. They will. It's insane. Anyway, the Department of Justice has joined a lawsuit to defend a Washington state sheriff who is being prosecuted by the state for assisting U.S. Immigration Customs and Enforcement in apprehending illegal immigrants, which is in defiance of the state's sanctuary statute. This, again, if this doesn't make your blood boil, I don't know what will. This guy, now keep in mind, the people that he has turned over to ICE agents are criminals. Not only did they come into this country illegally, but they've committed further crimes. And you want these people to stay in the United States? I don't get it. I don't. Let's see, where was I? This comes after Adams County Sheriff Dale Wagner testified before Congress earlier this month about Washington Attorney General Nick Brown's lawsuit against him and the county. Wagner and several other Washington sheriffs then met with Attorney General Pam Bondi in Washington, D.C., to express concerns about the state's sanctuary laws. They want these people. They don't care about you. They don't. They do not care about their constituents because they're completely fine with having drug smugglers, traffickers, what have you, to stay within the United States, to stay in the communities that your kids walk down the roads. Are you okay with that? Let me know. I don't understand why you would be. But anyway, before I ramble on forever about that, in a statement issued on Thursday, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche declared that Trump's Department of Justice stands with Adams County and has a no tolerance policy for obstructing federal immigration enforcement efforts. Good. I'm glad. I'm happy to see the Trump administration making a stand with this guy, because To be completely frank about the situation, this guy could possibly go to jail simply for doing his job in helping ICE agents in removing criminals and gangbangers from the country. This guy, look, I just said accountability, but this guy simply doing his job, now they're coming after him for it. It just tells you exactly what the left is all about. That, you know, in a statement issued on Thursday, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche declared, Trump's Department of Justice. I read that part. The Justice Department stands with Adams County against Washington State's overreach, and that's what it is exactly. Under Attorney General Pam Bondi, we're sending a clear message: states cannot obstruct federal immigration enforcement. We will not tolerate interference. Look, bring a countersuit. This person should countersue. They're dragging his name through the mud for simply doing his job. The people who brought this suit against this man for doing his job should be liable for slander and what have you. They need to be accountability. Probably won't happen. It's infuriating. Let's see. Just read that. The DOJ filed a statement of interest in the suit on April 18th with the United States District Court of the Eastern District of Washington. The lawsuit in defense of Sheriff Wagner is being spearheaded by America First Legal. Good. The state's brazen attack on the sheriff working to uphold the rule of law and protect his community from criminal illegal aliens is despicable. Yes. Look, I know sometimes I have trouble articulating my point of view, but this is a perfect example of it. The guy is simply doing his job. And keep in mind, again, I will say again, these people that he turned over to ICE, not only did they come into this country illegally, that's crime number one. They've committed further crimes after that. Why are they suing him? For doing his job. On March 10th, Attorney General Nick Brown filed a lawsuit against Adams County and Sheriff Wagner for violating the state's sanctuary statute, known as Keep Washington Working Act. At least 212 times over the past several years, the KWW prohibits local and state law enforcement agencies from assisting federal authorities with immigration efforts. Why? Explain to me why. These people, they're here illegally, and they've committed further crimes. Why? Ugh. The lawsuit claimed that Adams County Sheriff Office assisted ICE in apprehending illegal immigrants by providing ICE with names of hundreds of illegal immigrants who have been charged and or convicted of crimes, as well as their dates of birth, home addresses, fingerprints, and driver's license numbers. Okay. And? Ugh. Adams County has long stated its strong opposition to the KWW, which officials describes as dangerous. In a letter sent to Brown last month, county officials made it clear that it intended to comply with federal immigration laws instead of the states, claiming that Washington's sanctuary policies compel the county to violate federal law, which is supreme over state law. There's an argument to be made about that. Each state has its own separate laws that are separate from the federal government. An example of that would be, the legalization of weed in certain states. Marijuana has been made legal, particularly Colorado. I was drawing a blank there for some reason. And I believe, I want to say, I just know Colorado. Because I only know that just because that's my favorite team. The Broncos are there, and they legalized it there. I'm not there, but it's legal at a state level. It's still not legal at the federal level. So the states, you can smoke it, you can buy it, what have you. I'm sure it's taxed out the yin yang. That's a different story, but just as an example, marijuana is legal at the state level. It's not federally. Technically, you could get busted and be put on a federal charge. Probably not, just because, the laws against marijuana have been pretty lax as for quite some time at this point. So You're probably not going to get charged, but the technicality of it is federally, it's still illegal. So, just as an example. Let's see. On April 9, Sheriff Wagner testified before the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Immigration Integrity, Security, and Enforcement about the state sanctuary laws and Attorney General Brown's lawsuit against him, which he claimed was politically motivated. I can believe that. There's nothing out there that would convince me otherwise. You can let me know. Try and change my mind. We'll see. I think it's politically motivated. You can let me know. During testimony, he claimed that the KWW is a public safety issue and detailed incidents where illegal immigrants committed heinous crimes in his community, such as murder and body dismemberment. Again, I will say, why are you defending these people? Right? Murderers, and other things. Why are you defending these people? Because they don't care about their constituents. They don't care about the American people. Wagner was joined in Washington, D.C. by several other Washington state sheriffs who met with Attorney General Pam Bondi and ICE officials to discuss concerns about the KWW. Good. It's an issue that needs to be addressed. I'm glad that they brought it to the attention of the administration, and I think that they should stand with this guy. No one should have to deal with this for simply doing their job. Take a look at it. I haven't watched this, but we'll take a look at this clip and see what he says. This looks like him in court, but we'll see. Or this might be the subcommittee, but we'll see. Maybe if it'll play. I don't think it's going to play. Maybe it won't. Anyway, we'll just move on. In response to Wagner's testimony, the House GOP Judiciary Committee placed Attorney General Brown under investigation and issues a demand letter requesting that he produce certain documents pertaining to the state sanctuary laws. Brown did not comply. Of course he didn't. Why would he? Let's see. Update Attorney General. There's that. Okay, so, like I said, these people are evil. That's pretty much what it boils down to. There's no reason to keep these kinds of people within the United States. Murderers, human traffickers, rapists, drug cartel members, drug traffickers. Why does the Democrat Party consistently advocate for keeping these people within the United States? It's an easy question. Just ask yourself why. Because they don't care. I think personally, I think it's because they want that voting block. These people that come in, they take advantage of all the free crap that they get. Let's not forget the fact that illegal immigration in this country costs the American taxpayer dollars, our tax money, on the low end, $150 billion per year. On the low end. The high end is over $400 billion. Take a median. We'll just say, to save both high and low, just say, what if it's $250 billion? Are you okay with spending $250 billion of tax money, our tax dollars, going to illegal immigration? I'm not. Get rid of them. Anyway, now we'll move on to Pritzker. I don't know if that's how you say his name. I don't really care. But anyway, this guy has threatened El Salvador now. This is pretty wild too. Look, these stories, these Democrats, they never fail to just blow your mind on the kinds of things that they'll stand behind. This is from Fox News. It's a local outlet. Illinois Governor Pritzker acts against El Salvador over Kilmore Abrego's detention. Now, keep in mind, this story is just resurfacing everywhere. You've got the one congresswoman who said that she wasn't going to leave. She ended up coming back anyway. She said, I'm not going to leave without him coming back to the States with me, blah, blah, blah. But she ended up coming back anyway because they couldn't even look, Holland already did this grandstanding stunt where he went to El Salvador to talk with the guy who was a gang member. 2 different judges, intelligence committees, what have you. He's He's part of MS-13. Anyway, and don't tell me he hasn't had his due process, because he has. But they get behind these losing issues. Again, this is an 80-20 issue. Immigration is an 80-20 issue that they will not let go. And I'm all for it. Midterms are coming up. I'm worried about losing the midterms, but as long as they keep up this crap, we'll win. So keep it up. Chicago, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker announced that the state will take punitive actions against the country of El Salvador for holding Kilmar Abrego Garcia in custody. What are you going to do? Honest question. What can he do? Now, in the article, they state something about they buy goods from there, whatever. But really, you think that the president, Bukele, do you really think that he's going to budge on this issue? He's already stated the fact that he's not going to smuggle in a terrorist into the United States. He's already said he's not going to do it. They cannot let this go. They keep running with the Maryland man hoax, as Tim Pool called it, because that's what it is. It's a Maryland man hoax. They will not drop that narrative. They have to keep pushing it, and they keep running on this losing issue. They cannot let it go. Anyway, the United States Constitution guarantees due process. He's had it. We are witnessing Donald Trump erode our fundamental constitutional rights in real time. Look, you can go look it up. I encourage everybody to do it. Do your own research. Look things up. I wish I had more time, because I work full time. Okay, I do this just on the side and try to inform a little bit, and maybe one day I can do this full time and actually provide references for everybody. But as of right now, as soon as I get done here, I go to work. So maybe one day. But anyway, do your own research. That's just the point I'm trying to make. Anyway, we are witnessing real time. We must fight to restore the balance of power. The state of Illinois will stand up for the rule of law and do everything in our power to stop the Trump administration from ripping apart our most basic rights. He's not ripping apart your rights. He simply had a man deported from Maryland who is not a Maryland man. He's a resident of El Salvador and an MS-13 gang member. That's it. That's all he did. But they cannot stand the fact that he did this, and they're going to do everything they can to try and trump him on anything they can. No pun intended. Garcia, an accused MS-13 gang member, was deported from Maryland to his home country. In March, despite a 2019 court order barring his deportation to El Salvador due to fear of persecution. Look, if you want to argue the fact that he had a stay order, that was all it was. He can be deported. The stay order was saying simply that he was not to be deported to El Salvador. That was it. In my opinion, I don't care. I don't. Sorry, not sorry. I don't care that he had an order saying that he couldn't be deported to El Salvador, but he could still be deported anywhere else. So the fact that he just got, that was the clerical error that they kept claiming. So a federal judge said Tuesday that the Trump administration is ignoring court orders, obstructing the legal process, and acting in bad faith. He's not. By refusing to provide information about the steps they have taken, if any, to free Garcia from an El Salvador prison. Look, it does not matter what the president does. President Trump, as far as I'm concerned, if he called up Bukele and said, hey, we need this guy back, and he says no, and then Trump says, okay, that's it. Done. Bukele already said that he's not going to be sending this guy back to the U.S. He's not going to smuggle a terrorist back into the United States. It's not going to happen. Let it go. Trump administration officials have pushed back, arguing that it is up to El Salvador, though the president of El Salvador has also said he lacks the power to return Garcia. Yes. And also he said he's not going to smuggle back a terrorist into the United States. Pritzker has asked the Illinois State Board of Investment, the state university's retirement system, and the teachers' retirement system to review any investments in companies controlled by El Salvador with the purpose of withholding investments in those companies. Do you really think Mr. Governor, do you really think that this is going to have any impact on what Bukele wants to do in this certain situation? He's not going to send this guy back. It's not going to happen. These people need to let it go, but they won't. Why? Because they like to grandstand on something like this. Even though they're in the wrong, this story is not going to go away. It's not. It's going to be an issue for at least another month. That's just my guess, but I could be wrong. Maybe next week we won't hear nothing else about it. I really hope so, but I don't think that will be the case. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. The governor is also directing the Illinois Department of Central Management Services to identify state contracts with companies that are controlled by El Salvador with the purpose of stopping them. Okay. Good luck, guy. That's all I'll say. Good luck. Good luck there, Mr. Governor. I don't think you're gonna make any headway on this, but Pritzker wants the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Office of Trade and Investment to send in an analysis of the scale of trade El Salvador has with Illinois. Okay, again, I don't think this is going to move the needle for you there, guy. The action comes as the outspoken Illinois governor positions himself in global affairs, which have included signing trade agreements with the state of Mexico and the United Kingdom, efforts that critics say point to a possible 2028 presidential run. There's a lot of people that, as far as a 2028 presidential run for the Democrats, I think you're going to see all kinds of people throw their names into the hat. AOC, possibly. I still think that she's trying to take old Shifty's, not Shifty, Schumer. I think she's going to try and take Schumer's spot in the Senate. That's just my opinion. Maybe she'll run for president. I don't see that though. I think she'll probably go towards the Senate. Maybe after that she'll try and run. I think Governor Newsom, I strongly think you'll probably see him in the race. He is actively trying to find the way forward for the Democrat Party as far as him talking to the right side of the aisle and figuring out how they're winning so much. I think you'll see him. I think he's going to be popular. I don't think he'll win, but I think you'll see a lot of names coming in. Pritzker may be one of them. Wouldn't surprise me. Might be Shifty or Schumer. They might throw their name in a hat. I don't think they'll go very far either. But I could be wrong. But you'll see a lot of names coming up as far as the Democratic Party, as far as the presidential nominee for 28. Maybe you'll see. I don't think Kamala Lala. I don't think she'll run again. I think she'll take over the governor spot in California, and she'll just continue to run that state into the ground because that's what they do. But anyway, let me see what else. Let me see. I want to show. Where's this one at? I wanted to show this story real quick. Now, just as a quick side note to round out the morning here, White House press briefing just keeps getting worse. This is from Daily Kos. KOS, I don't know. This is in reference to the Tim Pool story about him going to the White House and sitting in the press pool and opening the questions and just pretty much blasting the press. I mean, I thought it was fantastic because every single media, the mainstream media, they just march in lockstep on everything. They won't give President Trump any kind of win. They praise the Democrats no matter what it is, even if they're wrong. And they just won't give President Trump a win. But we'll get into this just a little bit, just to round out the morning. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt used Tuesday's briefing with reporters to praise right-wing podcaster Tim Pool, who was granted the privilege of asking her the first question of the day. Now, let me just point out the fact that I don't believe that Tim Pool is he's not a right-wing podcaster. This is my opinion. He will tell you that he's not right-wing. He will tell you he's not conservative. He's kind of like an old-school libertarian. He believes in small government, what have you. I don't think that he's right-wing. I don't think he's part of MAGA. That's just my opinion, though. Poole then proceeded to team up with the White House spokesperson to spew lies about Kilmore, Abrego, Garcia. They weren't lies. Everything he said was factual. I believe in, look, Tim Poole, I don't agree with everything the guy says, but for the most part, the guy's pretty much on point. I give the guy credit for he's built a massive following. He has pretty much his own media empire at this point. Empire, I guess maybe not empire, but you get my point. He spoke facts, but I digress. And before I start rambling about this, but anyway, let's see. Poole, the Salvadorian immigrant who was abducted due to an administrative error. You see how they frame this? I don't know this daily KOS. But just reading this, you can tell that it's a far left pundit, outlet. They're not going to give any kind of win to any kind of person that sides with Trump on anything. But that's just the mainstream media. That's how it goes. Anyway. El Salvador, where he was held in a notorious maximum security prison. Yes. Levitt gushed in her introduction that Poole has millions of followers, a very big platform. He does. And promoted the podcast that he produces. She describes Poole's guests as having a diverse range of opinions, but failed to note that Poole has frequently platformed white supremacists. The guy, look, let me ask a question. If you have a podcast and you've got people on there of all walks of life, now in America, you may not like it. You may not like what they say, what have you, but in America, we have freedom of speech. And if somebody spews something that's racist or ugly or negative, they have that right to do so. You may not like it. You may disagree with it. If I'm talking to somebody and they say, something racist to me, I'm going to say, okay, I disagree with you. But you have the right to say it. It sucks. Yeah. It might hurt your feelings. But who cares? Anyway. And another thing about his guests, okay, because he tries to get left-wing commentators, what have you, onto his show. But the majority of them will not go on his show. Why? Because he bombards them with facts and pretty much makes them look stupid. That's why the left won't go onto his show. But anyway, I'm digressing and rambling again. Poole launched into a tirade about the news organizations promoting false narratives, citing reports that President Donald Trump called Nazis very fine people, which he did. He didn't. Look, the very fine people hoax it's not true. Watch the entire clip. That's all I'm going to say about that. The Maryland Man hoax. Right-wing media and the Trump administration have insisted that Garcia, who lives in Maryland, and his wife and children, is not a Maryland man. He is. No, he's not. He's a resident of El Salvador. He is not a Maryland resident. This is outright lies. And this is left-wing media manipulation. This is not true. Everything in this article is false thus far. In fact, a Maryland man and a union member who works as a sheet metal apprentice, as well as father to 3 children. He's a father of 1. The two stepchildren. Now you can argue the fact that, yes, he's their father, because anyone who steps up and actually becomes a father to kids that are not his own, I think that takes a big man. But I'm digressing on that. But Poole also referred to Garcia, who has no criminal record, yes, he does, as an MS-13 gang member. Proven. But federal judge Paula Zinnes disagreed in a decision handed down on April 6th. That was just recently. There's 2 different court cases where he has been classified as MS-13. The intelligence community classifies him as MS-13. He's got tattoos that identify him with MS-13. He was arrested with 2 other MS-13 gang members. Anyway, Poole then claimed criticism of the new media, pro-MAGA outlets that the Trump administration has welcomed to the White House briefings is unprofessional. Levitt taking the softball pitch from Poole It's not a softball. It's an honest question. He wanted to point out the fact that the mainstream media walk in lockstep, just like this article does. This article just proves his point. You can hate the guy or like him, but Tim Pool, them coming after him and saying this article proves his point that they walk in lockstep and they push the same narrative and they won't get away from it. This is just further proves his point. Anyway, I just it's again, I'm just going to say it's beyond me. I don't understand why the left can't just let it go, but they won't. They won't do it. And they're going to keep running with this narrative and that's about how it is. So, but that's all I've got for this morning. I do appreciate everybody hanging out with me. Um and if you like what you saw, you can follow me here on Rumble. You can also follow me on X at The Political Ray. Again, I appreciate you hanging out, and I hope everybody has a great day. God bless, and take care of each other.